Hi guys, now we would be discussing a completely new paper which is called as Structural Diversity in Social Contagion. It's by Ugander, Backstrom, Marlowe and Kleinberg, who are all very famous people. In fact, Backstrom works at Facebook and Kleinberg is a very famous professor at Cornell. So the basic idea of this paper is to analyze how diversity is affecting social contagion. So, firstly, when we think of social contagion, what is the thought that comes to our mind? So, contagion, the word basically implies infection. So, we think of infection as something which is mainly biological. So, you can imagine a situation where you go and sit in a bus. In a bus, five people have a cold, and you're sitting right in between them. This probability of you getting a cold actually increases because of the people who are sitting near you. So if so many people around you have a cold, the probability of you getting a cold definitely increases. This is the basic idea of how contagious that disease is. So this is a biological model of contagion. The same thing can be applied even in social contagion. Today, in today's world, basically the whole entire idea of social contagion is greatly harvested. This can be seen in the case of Twitter, where we have hashtag this, hashtag World Cup, hashtag Virat Kohli. Any kind of situation basically uh, tries to propagate a trend where it becomes highly popular because of social contagion. What is social contagion? Quite simply, the propagating of an idea, a fad, a rumor, any kind of social behavior which has been propagated among individuals because of their surroundings. So, we can understand that any kind of decision that we take is actually influenced by our friends or our surroundings and what kind of influence they themselves are facing. So, to analyze this is a difficult task. This we can understand quite simply, right? In the case of a biological contagion, we never know where the infection actually started, when it actually started, who around you was standing and actually gave you the cold. You might not know. Similarly, in a social contagion, also it's difficult to understand that. So, to propagate this, to go ahead and try to understand with why this actually takes place, we have to understand what factors might impact a social contagion. This is what has been tried to be analyzed in this paper, and one of the main factors which they have derived is called as structural diversity. So in this paper what they have tried to do is they have tried to analyze uh, how exactly structural diversity might impact and what exactly is structural diversity. So let me just describe the experiment in brief. They have done it on Facebook and they have tried to understand that in Facebook, how does Facebook as a phenomenon get globally adopted? So they've divided their experiment into two parts where they've basically talked about two things, which is one is recruitment and one is engagement. What are these two factors? Basically, recruitment can be described as the process of an individual joining Facebook. So why does an individual join Facebook and how is he getting recruited to Facebook? That's the first part of the experiment. The second part of the experiment is engagement. Once he joins Facebook, why does he remain on Facebook? Engagement has been clearly defined as the amount of time that a person is getting engaged on Facebook. This is a simple experiment they have done. Okay, it's all that simple, but in general, they have divided the experiment into two halves and they have tried to analyze which property is it that is influencing both these experiments. So let's try to ask some basic questions to ourselves about usual things that we feel. So let's look at this. When you see two slides, I'm going to show you two slides. The first case, let's imagine I'm a waiter and you're the customer. I'm offering you a plate of four different cuisines. So this is North Indian, that is South Indian, and this is Gujarati and maybe some other kind of, I think this is Kerala. So you have like four kind of cuisines that I'm offering you. That is one menu. And the second menu is simple dal chawal or dal rice. So you walk into my restaurant and I'm offering you two menus and I'm telling you to choose one. So which is the one you usually pick? Do you pick the one with diverse kind of meals from which you can pick, or do you just simply pick dal rice? In my opinion, I think around 95% of people would choose the menu card with different opinions, different choices that they can get. So why does this actually happen? This is like that genie story, right? So if the genie gives you three wishes, there's one person who will always ask for three more wishes. As human beings, we always want more, right? So we always want more choices. So this is exactly the underlying concept that actually social contagion gets influenced by. It's not that obvious. We actually imagine that if you're a person who is not on Facebook and you get bombarded by many requests, you'll imagine, okay, fine, that so many people are sending me requests, let me take that request and let me join Facebook. It is in fact not so. It depends not on the quantity of requests that you're getting or the number of people who are sending you requests. It actually highly depends on who is sending you the request and what is their background. So this is what has been tried to be analyzed in this paper. They have defined two important terms. One is contact neighborhood and the second is structural diversity. Contact neighborhood is quite simply the number of people who are connected to the person of interest. The set of people who are connected to the person of interest. Quite simply that. Now, in this experiment, what is the contact neighborhood? That is important to be understood. In this experiment, let's say you're a person A and you have been sent a friend request by a person B. So, person B is the person of interest. Who are the people who are connected to person B? They form his connected neighborhood or his contact neighborhood. Basically, a friend request would display the people who are connected to person B who's sending you, person A request. This is very important to be understood, that this is the contact neighborhood. The second point is, you know, the number of people who are connected to B. What is the nature? What is the complexity? What is the number of connected components in that neighborhood connected to B? That is what is defined by structural diversity. These are two factors that one needs to know. So here we ask an important question. How does the contact neighborhood impact the decision to join Facebook? So we are addressing the first question, which is the recruitment question. How do you decide if you're going to join Facebook or not? So you can think of it as yourself. Like, how do you decide whether you're going to join Facebook? If 5 people send you requests, do you just join Facebook? If 10 people send you requests, do you get more motivated to join Facebook? The feeling that we get is actually maybe this is true, but this is, once they did the experiment, they found this need not be true. They found that it actually depends on the kind of connected components that are present in the neighborhood of the person who is sending you the request, that actually decides whether you're going to respond to an invitation to join Facebook or not. Let's imagine the situation of WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a very famous trend which has become quite globally adopted now. So what is the basic idea in WhatsApp? The basic idea in WhatsApp is a lot of people are getting connected, and in general, would you adopt WhatsApp or not? Now imagine a situation, let's say all the people in your workplace have decided to adopt WhatsApp, but people in your family and friends have no idea about it. So this huge group of people actually come and tell you, okay, fine, just join WhatsApp because we want you to. This is situation A. This versus, let's say WhatsApp permeates its way into every single group in your life. As a human being, we all have different groups, right? We have like a friend group, we have a family group, we have an office group, we have different categories of people who form different social aspects of our life. Let's say WhatsApp, in situation A, WhatsApp is only popular among people in your office. So you may not be actually that interested in joining WhatsApp because only people in your office are interested. It is like how the entire world does not actually use uh, Linux. Most of the people are using Windows because Windows is being so popularized among different groups in the world. Maybe in the office environment, Linux would be highly popular, but still they would prefer to keep a dual boot and use Windows because everybody else is also using Windows. Now the point is, the word everybody is not that defined, and that should be, in my opinion. So what they think is, imagine a situation where you have all three aspects of your life getting covered by WhatsApp. Everybody is using WhatsApp. Your friend is using WhatsApp. Your family is using WhatsApp. You realize to connect to all these people, you need WhatsApp. So then you become more motivated to use WhatsApp. So what is the basic idea? The basic idea is that WhatsApp provided a feeling of su- universality to you. You felt that it was getting accepted by everybody in different aspects of your life. Now imagine that um, there's a person who is attached to these three aspects in your life: your family, your friends, as well as your group, and he's sending you a friend request on Facebook. Would you be not more inclined to accept his friend request? You realize by connecting with him, you would be extending a connection to different social aspects of your life. So that's a basic intuitive idea which lies in this paper. It says that you want to connect to the person who is showing you that feeling of universality, uh, with with contrast to somebody who is just from one group, and all you realize that this is just one aspect of your life. You can actually avoid it. You need not actually join Facebook. It's not that important to you. So this is what has been illustrated in the experiments. A graph was plotted. What they did is they tried to analyze the contact neighborhood of the person sending you the request. And what they did is, this is in the first case, this is a maximized example of the friendship neighborhood. The B example onwards is very clean. What we can understand is there are two connected components. In this case, there's a linkage between two nodes. In this case, there are no linkage between two nodes. So in the first case, there's only one component. In the second case, there are two components. The conversion rate of people who are non-Facebook users to Facebook users actually increases dramatically from somewhere between 1 to 1.5 to 2 to 2.5. Similarly, in the second case C, we can see that there are only three nodes, but as the linkages break or the diversity increases, the conversion rate also increases. This also is shown in D, where they have done it for more number of nodes. The basic idea is, when you have this many number of components only, it's very easy to analyze the whole entire paper. We can sorry, not paper, the analyze the whole entire network. If you have only this number of nodes, you can easily say, okay, if there are more number of components, this is the conversion rate is going to increase. What do you do when you have a large number of nodes? In that case, you can't just evaluate the number of components as the as corresponding to the diversity. You have to care about the complexity of the components. That's why they cared about the second part of the question, which is the engagement question. Yeah, so the second part of the experiment is basically user engagement. Okay, while recruitment is a basic, okay, let's stick to the simple terms. When I say recruitment, do you join Facebook? Once you join Facebook, do you want to stay on Facebook? That basic idea is basically called as user engagement. So in this basic study, what they've tried to do is, they have considered that users are engaged at a given point of time if they have interacted with the service at least 6 out of 7 days. Now, this factor is difficult to analyze because the contact neighborhood is pretty large. So it's not just 5, 6 nodes like in the case of user recruitment. So in this case, you can't just look at the number of connected components. You have to go deeply into the nature of the connected components. So in this case, what they try to do is, they have tried to evaluate three different generalizations of component count. First thing what they did is, they try to measure diversity only by considering components over a size k. Secondly, what they did is, they try to care only about the k core of the neighborhood graph. What is the k core? So if you have like a size k, you try to create a subgraph by removing all the vertices of degree which is less than k. The remaining portion would be called as the K core. Now, looking at the K core, you analyze what is the component count that is present. This is the second factor they looked at. The third factor that they try to look at is embeddedness. Embeddedness is how embedded is the node in the network. How do you become embedded in a network? Like, try to imagine, if you're a person in a friendship network and you have a lot of friends who are related to a lot of friends. If you're a person who is deeply embedded in the network, how do you become deeply embedded? If you have a lot of mutual friends with other people. So if I apply k-shell decomposition on you, it will be very difficult to extract you from that network. That makes you very embedded. So they try to isolate this dense social context by removing edges based on this embeddedness value. What is that? That is basically the number of common neighbors shared by two endpoints. So after applying these three parameters, they tried to specialize the idea of structural diversity. So as you can see in this graph, they have basically tried to isolate and find the K core, the K brace and things like that. And once they find it, what they've tried to do is they try to plot the graph and analyze whether the conversion rate is actually increasing or decreasing. So as you can see, I don't think I should say conversion, I should actually say engagement rather. So engagement is basically how engaged are they remaining in the network. So as you can see in this particular graph, the second case, as the number, this is the first parameter when it was applied. As the component size is increasing, we can see when it became 8, the engagement rate is greatly increasing. Similarly, when you're analyzing the K core, when the components in the K core increased, when it became 3, the engagement also increased. Similarly, when you can see the components in the K brace, when they also increase, the engagement also increased. So this has been done, and they basically analyzed into the specific parameters which are determining structural diversity, and based on this they could understand that the engagement rate is actually highly proportional to the structural diversity that is present within the components. Yeah, so that's the basic idea of the whole entire paper. So from the paper we can actually simply state the motive as um, the structural diversity of any kind of neighborhood actually determines whether you would get recruited or engaged in a network. That's the simple idea of this paper. This actually hugely influences social contagion. The reason is because it is not about just mass dumping some kind of trend on a individual for him to accept it. You actually have to target intelligently his neighborhood and make sure you can infect different social aspects of his life for him to accept that particular trend.